Alright, TADC episode 3 just dropped. What? TADC episode 3 just dropped, and I'm going to analyze every single little piece of it. Sorry, my breath just went into the microphone. That was disgusting. First things first, we're gonna start it off with a little bit of a recap, and if you already know what happens in the show and all that stuff, then skip to this time segment that's up on the screen, and if you're an audio listener, then I'll give you time to do that. Okay, we're going now. The episode starts off with Pomni trying to hold her breath to see what would happen to her, because apparently everything happens to other characters, different things happen to different characters if they hold their breath. Kinger apparently glows, which is seen further into the episode. Ragatha's hair stands up when she holds her breath, Gangle's mask spins, and Zubul becomes straight, but it's not revealed what Jax has to do, though he does make a fourth wall break, which he's done every single episode. It's getting a little bit worrying now, and I'm thinking those NBC things are maybe a little bit true. 2 times this episode, Zubul flips off the audience, which I think is pretty funny, and yeah, Kinger also swears. Kane then presents the cast of the circus to the Mildenhall mansion, which looks really, really good. I really like how they did it this episode. I think it's a good mansion, okay? Zubul obviously does not want to go, but Kane is very insistent on being like, okay, well, I made this extra spooky for them, so, yeah, and it's also revealed that Zubul is non-binary, so yippee! Once they enter the mansion, Ragatha tries to have a conversation with Pomni before this little ghost thing kind of greets them, before Jax sucks it up with a Luigi's Mansion vacuum, which it's a good detail. Basically what the little ghost said is that there's a good door that's family friendly for all ages and will send you on a good route, and there's another one which is specifically for Zubul, for them to get scared half to death, which Pomni and Kinger end up doing because they want to retrieve Gangle's mask that Jax threw at the door for some reason. Oh, and Pomni hates jump scares and her eyes fall out all the time for some reason. The side quest in this episode is Kane trying to therapize Zubul and asking them why they don't want to go on adventures. The answer is that Zubul just does not feel comfortable in any of the toy little parts that Kane has given them, so it's a little bit difficult for them to really feel comfortable going on an adventure. This is described as dysphoria to a lot of people, and a lot of people will learn to relate to this character, especially if they're part of the LGBTQ+ community, with being non-binary or trans or anything of that sort. But during the entire thing, Kane keeps throwing bees and stuff, and it really just turns into a therapy session for Kane, because if he goes insane, he breaks the entire circus from this scene right here. So I guess if people really don't like his adventures, he can kind of go insane. Meanwhile, Kinger and Pomni have gotten into this weird spooky basement with the digital circus cast's face all melted and weird, and I'm not gonna show this because it's genuinely horrifying. They find this little tape that apparently tells them what they're supposed to do, which is don't let that little thing in the center, don't take your eyes off of it, because it is pretty spooky, and that does come to show. The weird out of place face in the trophy room ends up being Rush from Doors. That's literally the only reference I could have thought of. And as they just found the key, Pomni is trying to open the door to this little thing that, I forget what it's called, but it's one of those conveyor belt things that go up and down through giant houses to deliver food and stuff when you don't feel well. And right as she opens it, Kinger is about to get sucked into Rush, before she grabs him and throws him into the little thing, and it surprisingly does not go up and lead them to the rest of the group. It goes down further into more of the basement. Kinger and Pomni then find themselves in a more lower part of the basement with some dead corpse holding a shotgun. Basically, the out of place face in the trophy room, oh my gosh, that's a tongue twister. That was basically some creature that man had created and tried to kill, but never really successfully did so. And it basically drove him insane to the point of him killing his wife and not protecting his children. He's basically trying to kill that figure so that he does not have to go insane. The tape tells them to take the shotgun and kill the abomination that he's created, which ends up being a complete lie once they actually kill them, because that was actually an angel of heaven. So now they get to go to hell. How fun. And as all of this is going on, of course, Gangle, Ragatha, and everybody besides Jax is hanging out with Mira Mildenhall, voiced also by Gangle's voice actor Marissa Lenti. They're all having a little bit of tea and having a good time as Jax is just sitting in the corner, and they get the peaceful ending. So that's nice. Once Kinger and Pomni actually find themselves in the new basement thing, well, things start to take a little bit of a demonic turn. Sorry for the audio change, but a quick summary of what happened with the Radio Man is basically he manipulated them into thinking that he was the victim, and basically just wants to capture their souls so that he can possess them and hopefully corrupt the circus with a computer virus, but it's all a roleplay, I think. So then this spooky thing shows up and they've gotta fight it. Oh, and the cool dust particles can possess them. So Pomni ends up getting possessed because she's impatient and she does not want to hold her breath, and it ends up being a really horrifying shot. Kinger is able to calm down Pomni after this, but she's still really shaken up about this and really just hates how this digital hell is really a digital hell. Every single day is a nightmare for her and she cannot stand it. Kinger then goes on to tell her about his wife and how she abstracted in the circus, which Pomni finds quite confusing, but still follows up on it. Kinger then says that you should always tell somebody that you love them because you'll never know when they're gone, which really touched a lot of people's hearts, especially mine. And soon enough, it all circles back to them holding their breaths, walking out of the hallway kind of thing, and eventually meeting up with the group when Pomni tells Ragatha that she does care about her, and Kinger then goes back into his little pillow fort where his wife apparently abstracted, just so that he can spend some time alone, and Jax thinks it's super stupid, but, you know, even though Kinger won't remember, Pomni definitely will. And there you go. That about sums up the entire episode. Now on to my thoughts, and I have a lot of them, and a few little things that you might have not noticed. And we're gonna start off with the things you might not have noticed. There's only like 2 things, but Gangle was drawing little eyes, and I believe Jax in this shot. And you can see Darlie Boxman, but like weird Darlie Boxman on this newspaper from Goose's show, Darlie Boxman. There's also like little references that I won't get in too deep with. But there is Luigi Manor references with the vacuum cleaner for ghost hunting and stuff that Jax uses. And yeah, that's really all of them that I could find. Now, on to my thoughts. I just want to say that every single Digital Circus episode really nails 2 main points of mental health. Episode 2 was about derealization and people always being there for you, even in your darkest moments. And this episode was about dysphoria between Zooble and gender, and also about loving somebody and telling them that you love them before they go, because you'll never know when somebody leaves your life. I just want to say that this episode really touched my heart, and before we get into the lore, I want to say that Kinger having a wife is actually a really good example of losing somebody that you love. A relative, a friend, or a family member, and really always tell somebody that you love them. Even if it's hard for you to tell them, you never know when they might leave. Maybe it'll end up saving somebody's life, but always tell people that you care about them. That's one thing that this episode showed me.
Mama. Oh my god.
But even if you're in your darkest moments, being with somebody and, you know, making sure that you care about somebody else too and making them feel like they're loved as well can mean a lot to a person. And I feel like this touched a lot of people's hearts, and it definitely did for me too. I love this scene so much, and I love this message as well. Zooble's dysphoria with the body shapes and stuff that she's given, you know, can really empathize with people that are trans, non-binary, or anything in between. I know lots of people that struggle with gender dysphoria, and Zooble is definitely a very good example of this.
I couldn't find any other room for this, but all the jokes really did land. They were pretty good. The fact that King calls them something new every single time they get back from an adventure, like, that's peak. I'm gonna have to put a little bit of a warning on this for gore. Switch to this timestamp if you don't want to see it. But the scene where Pomni gets possessed, imagine if it went like this instead.
Pomni!
Surprise cameo.
Yes, I understand that this is Goose's work and there's not going to be a MDA reference in here at any time, but that'd be so frickin' sick. Alright, so now let's get on to the lore segment of this entire episode. We get a phrase from Pomni that kind of stuck with me, and she says,
Every day I spend here is one nightmare after the next. I knew it would end up like this. He just wants me to suffer. I really am in hell.
Who is he? Did somebody force her to put the headset on, or convince her? Maybe it was like some evil twin brother. Oh my god, no, the content farms. But like, who is he? And did somebody actually force Pomni to put that, like, headset on? What's really going on? Another thing that kind of stuck with me is when Kinger says,
7 years of computer science for this, huh?
So, is he referring to Pomni or himself? Because Pomni does look like she would know something about programming and all that stuff because, well, she knew that they were under the map in episode 2, and she kind of knows a little bit about NPCs and all that stuff. Obviously, if this is going on in our time period, Pomni would, I think, be a Gen Z. So it would definitely make sense if she knows all this terminology. But Kinger, on the other hand, probably wouldn't, so I would think that he's referring to Pomni, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just really tired and I have no idea what's going on, but yeah. I think if you look at the photos closely here, you're not gonna find anything, you know, really lore type stuff, since this is just a map from Kane, and I don't think he would hide anything in here, especially if it was like that. But there's not much lore here to uncover. I think TADC has really just turned into every episode is a little bit scary and definitely existential, but it always comes out with a positive message at the end. Those are really all the things that I do want to say. I don't think there's like any other things, except for I do think that maybe Kinger was the guy with the shotgun that shot his wife and all that stuff. I think that maybe had been him, even though it's like a different voice actor. It would be possible that that is him, which would be super cool. Anyway, this is all I got for episode 3 of Digital Circus. Can't believe it's out. It was really good. The animation was amazing, and the lighting and the rendering was absolutely phenomenal, and so was the voice acting. I mean, the voice acting is always amazing, and I can't wait for the next episode of this amazing series. I mean, it is the amazing Digital Circus, and that was a really bad joke, but I'll see you in the next video. Have a good day or night, depending on where you live. Doodles.
Thank you.